the Inner Game podcast, brought to you by the Science of Excellence, presented by Rob Hume, the leading elite athlete mental performance coach. Unleash your power.
Boom. So welcome onto the Inner Game podcast. We have a professional Danish badminton player in Mads Christopherson. So coming onto us today, we have a young man who's so passionate, obviously about badminton, but I know he's super passionate about trying to help people. I've watched a lot of your videos on Instagram, and I really love the vibe that you're giving off and the the message that you're trying to get across to people. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Mads. We've got somebody who is currently ranked 6th in Denmark. He's currently ranked 75 in the world and has been as high as 68 in the world. So we've got somebody who's right at the cutting edge of elite sport, and he's coming on with us today, giving up his time and trying to get across some of the words of wisdom and nuggets that can help other people get out there and start achieving some of the things, whether it's in badminton, in other sports or life. I know, Mads, you're quite passionate about helping people, aren't you? So thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, you're very much welcome, and I'm happy to be here. As you are saying that I like to help people, and that's true. So I want to help people, and I think this podcast is a good opportunity to help other people who is either at the same stage as me, and maybe they can get some interesting things that I'm doing, or maybe it's some who are on the way to where I am. So maybe I can help them on their way. So there is a lot of opportunity to help people in this podcast. So I'm very, very happy to be here.
Awesome. So can we rewind time, Mads? How did your journey into badminton begin for you? How did it start for you? What got you into this sport? It's a sport that I love. I love badminton myself, by the way. I love playing badminton. How did it begin for you?
Well, I think I have always played a little bit, but I was not starting to badminton before I was around 7, because I also played some football with my friends or soccer. I don't know who's listening to this podcast. So with my friends in school, but I also had played a lot of badminton with my family, like on vacation outside and stuff like that. So when I started, I was actually quite good because I had played so much with my family just for fun. At vacations, when we were going camping, we were playing, see how many times we could hit it to each other, and there was wind and stuff, so it was not easier outside than it was inside. So I was actually better than a lot who had already played for a couple of times. So I thought it was quite funny because I was already better than them. I just think that because of my family, everybody have played. I have a big brother who's always also played, and I have 3 cousins who also played, and my mom and dad played, and my grandparents were playing. So it was a little bit in the cards that we should start in my family to play, but it's not like we have felt that pressure that we should play badminton, because that's not how it has been. So we are still playing, me and my sister Line, because we think it's funny, and that's also why we are where we are now, because we still love the game. But I would say that I was pretty good in my club at the beginning, but I was not like the best in my age at all in the first years of my juniors. My breakthrough was around when I was under 17,
Right.
I got selected to like a team match event in Denmark, who's called Danish Junior Cup, where a lot of nations from around the Europe is coming. And then I played second men's single from for Copenhagen, and I was actually I was so happy to be selected for the first time for like something like that. So I was just giving it everything, and I don't know what happened, but I think I remember right when I didn't lose any match.
Well,
And at this moment, I was still not like the best in my age. I was maybe in top 10, and I could still lose to like a top 20 player. So I was not so stable.
yeah.
But in this team match, I won against the second best from England and France and Dutch, and like it was crazy. And then I felt like, okay, maybe I'm not the best in Denmark right now, but in Europe, I'm quite okay. So it gave me a very lot of motivation, and I felt that okay, this is going in the right direction. And then I came to the Danish Championships for under 17 the same season, and I actually made it to the semifinal and lost against Anders Antonsen in a good match. I was feeling that tempo. I was still like in the game, but he lost like quite confident. But I was not feeling that I was just like swept away.
Yeah.
So that also gave me a lot of motivation. So around under 17, I took a huge step, and that changed a lot. But I would say that I'm even a later bloomer, because it was not because I was just taking the good performance after the other performance in my juniors. It was around like senior, like maybe, well, the best year for me was last year. So I'm still developing, having a good development. So yeah, and so I'm a little late bloomer, but it's I also think it's because my age group, I'm from 97. It's pretty good, and we are a couple of guys in men's single actually running around in the national center, like me, Anders Antonsen, Rasmus Gemke, and Ditlev Jerholm is practicing at the national center.
Right.
And we are both, every one of us is from the same age.
Gosh. Right.
And we are like half the men's singles in there. So pretty good age. So, but I also think that have made me where I am today. I was not the best, so I was never feeling like, now I can relax, I'm the best. I always had someone that I wanted to beat. So I think that I was always motivated to beat those guys. So I wanted to train and practice and do whatever I could in court. I was not thinking so much about what I could do outside the court. I was just having fun and eating and doing what a teenager is doing. So it's later on I started to do this with a lot of mental practicing, and that's for sure have helped me. And that's also why my last year was the best year for me. And hopefully it's just the beginning of a good journey.
I'm sure it is, man. There's a couple of things there that and I'd just like to touch on there. You mentioned obviously the environment, that there's so many of you at the same age, all, pushing each other, and that's certainly something which in my early research, I certainly spent a lot of time looking at how the environment actually affects the ability for talent to flourish, if that makes sense. And that environment is encompassed of lots of different things, isn't it? Obviously, some of it's your family, some of it's your friends, the facilities that you got available, the culture. Obviously, in Denmark, badminton is big news, isn't it? It's a big sport. Whereas in Britain, it's not. It's the infrastructure isn't even there in the same ways that it is in your country. And I remember, as I was saying before we came on air, I used to have a bugbear about why British tennis players would underperform, and this is going back quite a long time ago. You know, way before Andy Murray, and Britain had a period of time where they just was producing really good juniors. They had this, knack of producing, top 20 junior world ranked players, and then they wasn't going on to even getting into the top 100 as a professional, next to none. So there was something going on there, and some of that has to be the environment that the LTA in our country wasn't, certainly at those times, creating an environment which was, fostering, creating this place where people were flourishing to get the best out of each other. And I remember that there's a book written by a British ex-table tennis player. I think you'll find it really interesting, actually, Mads. It's called Bounce. Okay. It's written by, as I say, he's an ex-Olympic table tennis player for Britain, and he's called Matthew Syed. And he starts off his book talking about how he started playing table tennis. And he was at primary school, and quite an old-aged man came into his primary school and started teaching a class table tennis. And long story short, there was a bunch of them that loved it, and they lived quite close to the school. And it turns out that this older man lived quite close to the school, and he had quite a big garage, and in there he had 4, 5, 6 table tennis tables in there. And when he realized that these 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old children were really passionate about it, he used to let them go into his garage and play. Long story short, by the time they got to 18, something like 4 or 5 of the country's best table tennis players all came from that street, the same street.
That's crazy.
And I just found that fascinating how it just, one guy kind of was responsible for setting up this environment that allowed these younger age people to have a platform to go and play and create this hotbed of people wanting to improve, get better, chase the other one down. And I found that quite fascinating that you were saying how you didn't feel earlier on that you was one of the best, but that's the best place to be, in my opinion. Because if there's a quote that I love from I think he's called Eric Thomas, and he says this. He said, "Your talent takes you places that your character can't keep you." And if you get good at something too early, the ego comes in. I know it all. They rest on the laurels. People think that that this rich vein of form, the ability to just keep beating people is just going to continue. And what they're not developing is the mentality to go along with that. And then you've got all these hungry people like yourself, Mads, who are then, developing the mindset of I want to get better. I'm going to do this. I'm going to look for different ways to make my way to the top. Is that how you felt you were whilst you were progressing up the ladder?
I actually think that because I was not working so much with the mental aspect of the game when I was younger, because I think it was some, I didn't believe so much in it.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit old school, I think, in my mindset. So I was just like, okay, I'm not good enough. I'm just gonna practice harder. I'm gonna practice maybe even more and maybe even longer, and just in general, just putting up the pace of practice and the hours. A little bit old school, I think, because I think that's what you would do when days. But for especially the last year, I got the a really like surprising positive effect affected by the mental aspect of the game. So since then, I have been reading a lot of books who are maybe I could use some of the things that was in this book. So it's not like I'm reading literature or crime books or something like that. I'm reading all kind of books who can help me like in my mindset. So the book you were talking about is maybe one I should read as well, because I also like to read about how other people have done it. And
Yeah.
but I can actually relate a lot to the table tennis guys, because they had each other to play with, and I'm sure that they could push each other at every day. And maybe we were not playing every day together, me and my colleagues now and friends in my age group, but we played quite a lot during a season because of the many tournaments we have in Denmark. So, or team matches for that matter. So, and I'm agreeing with you that it was good for me not to be number one or number two, but it was perfect place to be there, like 5-4, and could beat maybe one of the best guys if I was playing my best game.
Yeah.
So it was just like you got a bit of both. You were not like you still had something to look at, but you were not feeling that everyone was getting better and better than you. So you felt that you were in a good mix of I'm improving, but I'm still not the best. So I'm still wants to improve. So you are always hungry when I think when you're around there. But as you also is saying that some youngsters is dropping out, and that's so you also have to have some qualities which are like I can feel that I'm improving, and I also want to improve. You have to have the hunger, because some of the guys who were better than me in my age group is not playing so seriously anymore. And I think it was actually because, I don't know for sure, but I can imagine that if one of the guys who you have always beating coming closer and maybe passing you, at some point you feel like, am I standing still in my development, or am I doing wrong, and what is he actually doing? Like, how can he be better than me now? For 2-3 years ago, I won with 10 and 11, like easy. Now he is beating me with 14 and 14. Like, that can happen so much, and I think that you have to have the right mindset to actually get up when you get knocked down from something like that. And that's not everyone who has that, unfortunately, because otherwise I actually think we would have a even higher level in every sport if everyone could come up after they got hit so bad, because they have a talent they have always had, because they were some of the best in the age. So they have the talent. They just have to get up and and try to find the things they can improve. Like I actually think that when you get to a level, then you can almost do the same thing as all the other guys. So it's actually just about how you are thinking during the game, or the shots you are making or taking, and the choices you are doing all the time. Because it's not so different, like the shots we can do or the power we have or something like that. Of course, maybe some are hitting harder than others, and that's an advantage. But it's not so crazy that it's just like, okay, for example, in badminton, you lift and then it's getting hit down. It's not like that. We're not that far away from each other when you get to a level. So it's all about where you are playing the shot and like what you're thinking all the time. So it's actually crazy to think of, I think, because then it's only the mental aspect you need if you can do the same as the other guys.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just going back to what you were saying, again, following what we're talking about, how, chasing the pack. One of the reasons, certainly what I strongly believe in, is that when you start getting good at something, your self-confidence grows as a result of getting good at that one thing and whatever else you're getting good at. So your confidence is building, and you're having success, you're winning, people are telling you you're good, you're seeing that you're good, you're winning competitions, this, that, and the other. So like, there's the identity that somebody starts to form is formed on the confidence of being very good, let's just say in badminton or any sport. So their confidence, their ability to walk around in life outside of sport is also being underpinned by the confidence of being a great badminton player. And if they don't keep kind of in their mind, how they got there, or they're not even aware of how they got there, and they just think that they were maybe born that way, or they're just naturally that way, then they're not building these habits, these patterns of practice. They're not building up resilience. And as you said, when then somebody starts coming up behind them, and for so many years, this guy or girl has been beating this one down here, and they're maybe training, 10% lesser than this person down here. This person's that hungry because they want what's up here. So they're going for it. Their commitment levels, their desire, their tenacity to practice, to learn, to try new things is higher than the person at the top. Not always, but often.
Yeah.
And then if it gets to the moment where all of a sudden they become equals, and then this person beats this person, bang, the confidence goes, because they're not quite aware how they got up here in the first place, and they haven't then built up the habits, the mentality, the mindset to then come back from that loss. And as you said, that's why then they just fall, and because they haven't built up that internal resilience to come back from the loss. Whereas somebody down here has lost a lot, and they've kept. So they've lost way more than this person, and this person loses 2 or 3 or 4 times, and bang, then the wheels come off. So, that's what's so admirable about the greats in the sport. The Muhammad Ali's, the Novak Djokovic's, the Michael Jordans, the Cristiano Ronaldos. They've had the setbacks. They've lost. Things have gone wrong for them.
Yeah.
But they then rise again, don't they? They've not got to the top and then faded away. They've got there, and they keep finding a way to keep squeezing more out when the rest can't do it.
Yeah.
So, in terms of yourself, then, like you spoke about, you feel in the last 12, 14 months that you've made a shift internally, mentally. Can you perhaps, talk us through kind of how you got to that point? Was there a moment? Was there like, a defining moment where the light switch came on and went, something's got to change, and it maybe led you to that? How did you get to this point of this realization of, I need to start doing something different up here?
Yeah. I have not been. It was not the lights on. It was more like lights off, and then I had to. It was so confusing. I was breaking up with my ex-girlfriend in February last year, and I was not like feeling sitting at home because it reminded me of her, and I just wanted to practice all the time because it took my mind off her and the situation. So I was putting in a lot of time in the gym and the practice, and I just practice really a lot. I have never been practicing that much before. I was practicing each day. I didn't have a day off. If I didn't have a practice at the national center or in the club, I just made one with my friends who was also playing, and then we played for maybe 1 or 2 hours, Sunday or Saturday, and maybe I also did some gym before he was coming, and like I was not home at all. I was practicing all the time, and just before I broke up with my girlfriend, I was seeing a new sports psychologist, Anders, and so he was with me from the start of this breakup, and but it was so new, so I just felt that if this is gonna work, I just have to be open up about my situation, and then see what I can get out of this teamwork with Anders. So a lot of the things I actually learned, I could improve mentally in my game. I actually used a lot outside the game in the start because of the breakup. So because I felt that it worked outside of court, and because it worked outside of court, I got better in court.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to explore that more. So I started to read like some books about the mindset and the psychology, just maybe not just in sports, just around maybe economics or something like that. I read a book, Thinking Fast and Slow, which is
Kaiman.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first book I started with. And a little heavy in the end, but it was actually quite interesting, and I can still remember a lot of things because it made an impact on me. So these exercises I got was it was how to control my thoughts, because I was thinking so much when I sit here at home. So, and it was too much sometimes, but I couldn't practice all the time because I could also feel in my body after a couple of weeks that this was not healthy anymore. I was destroying the body.
Yeah.
And so I had to find out, and I also said to Anders that I'm maybe practicing way too much, but I can't stop because I don't want to sit at home. So he gave me these exercises about breathing, and so when you breathe and think about your breathing, then you're not thinking about anything else if you're doing it right. So it's kind of meditating for me, and it worked. When I had too many thoughts, just focused on that, and it helped. Then I could relax, and then I actually forgot sometimes what I was thinking about, and then I didn't come back to that right away. So yeah, over time it got better and better, of course. And then we found out that when I was playing, I was thinking way too much. I was what do you say? Evaluating each point. Like when I was young, in a young badminton player, I could remember the whole match. I could like every stroke, and people when they were talking about me, they were saying like, "No, I can't remember that." And I could remember the point, like which point it was and stuff like that. And they were saying like, "Wow, you have a crazy memory." But it was because I was evaluating this rally every time I had played one.
Yeah.
So of course I could remember it, but it was also affecting my game because I was not on court actually when I was playing. I was still thinking about that other rally. So I had to find a reset button, and so I was not thinking, because when you are in this flow, every sportsman is talking about, then you are actually 100% in the present.
Definitely.
And that's also why it's quite hard to find. this flow, because it's if you're a sportsman, you know that there is a lot of thoughts when you're playing, but you have to manage to take all that away, because you are reacting so much faster. You are taking better choices, just in general, because you are in flow, of course. So how could I do that? I didn't know. I had never tried it before, but it sounded amazing.
Yeah.
So I had to find an anchor. We call that an anchor or a key,
Yeah.
or a reset button. How I could stay present. So every time I had played a rally, I thought that, okay, I have to look down on my shoes. And if I did that, the last thought I had was, okay, you have to look down on your shoes. I know it's weird, and
No,
maybe it's not working for everyone. Maybe they have to look at something else, or focusing on the breathing. I don't know, but it was working so well for me. So I actually started to feel that I was so much more alert all the time, and I got it, like in practice. I felt that everyone noticed it right away when I started to do this. But as I said before, it was new for me to work with the mental things like this.
Yeah.
So I found out that practicing the mental thing like that is way harder than I thought. I thought it was just a switch. Okay, now I have done it once. Now I never have to think about it again. But that was not true. It's something you have to practice, like every shot you are practicing in your kind of sport. If it's golf, if it's the golf swing, or if it's the badminton shot or the basketball throw, every mentally thing you have to practice is like just like that.
Yeah.
And I found out pretty fast that it was some practices after I started to look at my shoes. I could actually practice for 1 hour and a half and think, oh shit, I forgot to remember to look down on my shoes. And it was not because I was having too many thoughts, so I didn't think about it at all. It was just something I remembered, like maybe at just a random thing I remembered during the practice. Oh, I have to remember to look down on my shoes. And then I started to do that, and then it became a good practice suddenly. And it was so weird, because it meant so much. And I'm not kidding. I actually think because of that, I I made the biggest result in my career so far. I got to I was playing a Super 100. If you're not a badminton player, it's the lowest kind of the biggest tournaments. So it's quite good.
Yeah.
And I was not seated at all. I was not like, there was no one that was thinking about me.
Yeah.
But I was playing some seriously good badminton.
Yeah.
And it was because of that little change
Yeah.
of thinking. So I made it to the final that year.
Awesome.
And was playing a really good match. And this is six weeks after my breakup.
Right. Whoa. So it's quite quick, really.
So it was like I also think that I was because I had practiced so much. I also had a good what can you say? A good period of time up to the tournament. So I had touched the shuttle a lot of times during these weeks.
Yeah.
But it was I couldn't have done it without the mental aspect.
Yeah.
So it's the reason, and I'm not doubting that at all. So I'm still using it. But I also found out recently that it's maybe only in the start of the rally that it's working. So now I'm taking it. I feel like I'm taking it to the next step, because I was playing number 12 in the world, Srikant Kadambi, here in Swiss, in for 1 month ago. And when I started the rally, I was present.
Yeah.
But as soon as the tempo got high enough, or maybe he made some shots where I was not like ready for it, my body did this.
Yeah.
And when my body do this, I'm not playing my best. I don't feel comfortable around the court. So when I saw the match after, I took some decisions. It was not the right moment to do that decision. So now I'm trying to learn to focus on my breathing actually during the rally.
Yeah.
And I know a lot would say that, but then you're thinking about the breathing. But for me, it's working so far. So, and I was just playing a tournament, a team match here in Germany in the final, where you are supposed to have a lot of nerves, and of course I had that because I wanted my team to win, and I had played it's really bad the day before, like some of the worst I have played for a long time. So I was not so confident, but I was thinking about this all the time, about the breathing, and I was so relaxed and I played so good. So it's something I really want to like practice on.
Yeah.
I think it's the next step for me to do that, because then I can stay relaxed the whole rally. Also,
Yeah.
when something random is happening, not random but unexpected.
Yeah.
And I also have to say that the weeks up to my biggest results last year, the Oliang final in France, I had started also a teamwork with my physiotherapist, and also kind of strength coach, because he's helping me with some exercises. And when he was doing a treatment on me some of the first times, he felt that I was so tense in the stomach.
Really?
And he actually wanted me to to breathe only in the stomach.
Yeah.
And I had so much trouble doing that. So when I came to treatment the following weeks, my only focus doing that treatment, and I was actually practicing while I got a treatment, that was to focus on breathing only through the stomach,
Yeah.
because that would help me, just because then you can like do more with your body as well. So you know your body better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's also because he wanted me to relax more, and then you do that when you're breathing through the stomach. And he also found out, I gave him some videos about how I was playing, and some of my issues was that I was getting tricked easily. So we looked at that, and he found out that when I got tricked, because I was tense in my stomach, I couldn't like catch my body.
Direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't catch my body. So it's most of the times when people are holding a shot and not playing it long, but playing it short. Then I'm quite offensive when I'm playing. And I'm also quite fast. So I wanted to move fast as well. But when they're doing these kind of trick shots, I move too early sometimes because they're holding it. So they are ruining the rhythm of my playing.
Yeah.
And if I was tense in my stomach, I was like going like this, but I couldn't like catch my body because I was not relaxed in my body.
Yeah.
So I got some exercises where I had to like maybe sit with a medicine ball like this, and then drop it, and then catch it while like
I see. Yeah.
at my stomach.
Yeah.
So I had to be relaxed before, and then when it's dropped, I like that. So it started to work so good. So now I know if I get tricked, it's because I'm not relaxed.
Yeah.
So that's also why I mean that I have to breathe a little bit more during the rally. That's what I'm working on now, because maybe I'm present in the start of the rally, but as soon as these trick shots come or the tempo is high, I get too tense, and then I can't take the trick shots or the deceptions.
Yeah.
And if I'm breathing, I'm relaxed because I'm breathing through the stomach. So if you try to breathe through the stomach while you're tensing up, it's not feeling so comfortable. So
No.
when you're relaxed and it's a lot easier to breathe. So yeah, for me it makes sense that it's I have to do that because I was it just makes sense for me.
Yeah. So there's a few things there which I find really fascinating and like to unpack for the people listening. So I spent a lot of time studying and developing techniques to help athletes get into the flow state. And athletes need to know when they're not in it. And obviously one of the things that you realized was that because from such a young age, it seemed like that you got used to evaluating your points, whilst you were playing.
Yeah.
So you developed a pattern of playing, which was whilst you were playing, you were thinking about exactly how you played every shot and how your opponent's playing every shot. And obviously, as you got older, that's just how you played. And obviously, as you are getting better and better and better, all of that thinking is counterintuitive, because the conscious mind only controls about 5% of what we do. So consciously now we're having a conversation, but 95% of what's going on in our body is below what we're aware of. And all of those hours, however many hours, it'll be thousands, the thousands of hours that you spent playing badminton, they're just patterns. That's all they are. They're habits. It's just like we walk. The skill of walking is just a habit. The brain knows how to do that with its eyes closed. It doesn't have to think about it. It just does it. But I'm sure if you started talking to yourself about how you take every single step forward, you'd trip up a few times, wouldn't you? And so when we start thinking too much, what it does it interrupts the subconscious patterns. Because once you've learned a skill, once it's in. Just like driving a car. When you first start learning to drive a car, there's a lot going on. Which pedal to press, the gear stick to move, mirrors to look into, cars to look at. Once you've done it for a year, you're not having to think about any of that. The skill of driving a car is in. And one of the reasons why it's hard at the start is, one, it's new, but two, you're having to consciously think about how to do it. The mind is so fast and so powerful. The subconscious mind can do things I couldn't even tell you how much faster than what we can consciously do it. But once you've built all those skills, whatever sport somebody's playing in, if you've committed yourself to hours and hours of practice, those skills, they get embedded in the cerebellum, which is right at the back of the brain. They're stored there. But as soon as you start to consciously think about how to perform a shot, you're slowing down, the ability for that skill to come out of you and into your body, because the brain and body can do it faster subconsciously than what you consciously can think about it. So as soon as somebody starts to evaluate a shot, and think about how to play that and how to do this and evaluate how they went wrong, it's knocking them out of their state. All that chatter is knocking them out of the state. And when somebody is in the flow state, there is no thought. Thoughts are gone. And that's why the flow state is what all athletes are aiming for, is because essentially the conscious mind has been turned off. It's completely turned off, so that subconsciously you're playing in that way. You're playing subconsciously. So all the skills are just coming out, and you will be able to remember your best performances. You won't have been thinking about what you're doing, especially, think about some of the shots that you guys play at the net when it's coming off the racket at 150 miles an hour. You're not consciously thinking about how to get that back. That is all subconscious. But if you had to consciously think about moving it there, you'd never get anywhere near it. So the self-talk, the evaluation, and often negative self-talk, when people start putting themselves down, when they start saying, you know, that was a rubbish shot, or that was awful, or I'm having a shocker today, whatever words that they say, every time they start thinking like that, they're moving themselves out of their optimum state of performance. And so what you did when you then started to focus on your shoes, so you had these patterns of thinking, but by then focusing on your shoes, it's what I call a pattern interrupt. You interrupted the pattern. So, and that looking at your shoes became the trigger to stop thinking and to become more present.
Yeah.
So that's like the first thing that you did. And then what you've done there with the breathing is one of the most deepest subconscious habits that we have. And how our subconscious, one of the ways it measures danger, if you like, one of it is the heart rate, but also the other one is the breathing rate. And because if somebody gets stressed, adrenaline starts pumping through because the adrenal glands are next to your stomach. So as soon as adrenaline comes in, and if you start overthinking, that can create stress, which creates more adrenaline, and that causes the breathing rate to increase. So by then focusing your mind on the breath, you are literally sending that signal down the vagus nerve to your stomach to say that everything's okay. Everything's going to be all right. We're safe. We're secure. There's no threat here. And as strange as it may sound to some people, playing a sport can be threatening to the subconscious mind, just like words can. You know, somebody might not physically be aggressive to you, but somebody could be verbally aggressive, and that can still get the freeze, fight, or flight mechanism going. And by just focusing on the breath, again, it's a trigger. It's a trigger to relax. And the more that you certainly practice centering yourself on the breath, you're telling the subconscious mind that everything's okay. It's time to relax, and you're cutting off like the external stimulus. And it seems that you're still not quite where you want it to be, and what it will be in terms of when you're playing is that when you're able to predict how the rally is going, that's when you're staying in that optimal state. You're in that flow state. But as soon as you were able to read their next shot, that next pattern, that's then when it seems from what you're saying, it's kind of knocking you out of that state a little bit, and there's a bit more evaluation going on. Is that roughly how you described it then, Mads?
Yeah. But it is because when you play badminton, you kind of have because you have played so much, so you feel like it's just game sense. So it's like you can say that, okay, he's not gonna shoot the shuttle down here, so I focus on these three corners instead. But sometimes it's also because I get tricked because it looks like they do that shot, and because I have seen it so many times, and it is like it is called a deception because of that. So he is making it look like he will lift, but then right before he do it, then he's maybe dropping his racket a little bit and then play it short. So because I have seen it so many times, I'm actually getting tricked by my own like eyes and mind. And if you're like totally present, then you're like you're so much alert that he's not hitting the shuttle at the same place as it's not the right timing, and you can sense that way better if you are present. But if you're not present and your mind is taking over, you're thinking, okay, this looks like this shot, so, and then your body is just following your mind, so you're just jumping, and then it was not there. But if you're alert, you're like looking at when the shuttle is getting hit. So he has not hit the shuttle yet. I'm not going yet. He has not hit the shuttle yet. And then he hits, and then you move like that. But you still have an idea that, okay, he is making it look like he is about to hit it down there.
Yeah.
But you're not moved because you're still he's not hitting it yet. Waiting, and then he's hitting it, and then you move. So that's how you can like see it. For me, that's how I see it, and how I would explain the feeling when I'm playing.
Yeah.
But another fun fact about this staying present. When I was talking with Anders after every match, I think in France, and I told him that I can't really remember anything of the game. Like for sure I can remember some points, but like it's not like near normal. Like I have some blackouts. I can remember from this to this, and it was actually fun then to. I have always the last couple of years I have watched all my matches when I have played, and it was fun for me to watch because I was did I do that? Like
Yeah.
And also because of that, I had so much more mentally. How can you say? I had so much more energy, like mentally, and I was not like feeling that I have used all my mental energy or something like that after just one match. But I used to have that feeling that I'm tired. I have used my brain a lot because I was evaluating every point actually.
Yeah.
So because of I was staying present, I had so much more mental energy afterwards.
Yeah.
So I could perform. So I also could perform the next day actually. So because during a normal tournament, my battery level of like in my mind would be lower and lower because of that. So it was a new thing for me. I had so much more energy after a match, and I felt so good, and it was just weird, and I couldn't remember the game actually.
Yeah.
There was a total like change of how I was actually having the feeling after a match.
Yeah.
So, but again, it was a positive thing. So, but it was just like a good surprise and a very welcome surprise for me.
Yeah. As I say, and it's because you're allowing your subconscious mind to play. You know, the subconscious mind knows how to play the game of badminton for you, who's committed all these hours to it. It knows how to do it. The only thing that stops that is the interruptions, the thoughts, the doubts, a nerve. And any athlete should, in order to help them stay present with whatever sport that they're playing, for yourself with badminton, they should try to master the skill of not evaluating the shot in terms of, was that a good shot or a bad shot? Because as soon as you start to evaluate, was it good or was it bad, then you're thinking consciously, and then you're taking yourself out of this subconscious state. So all the evaluation of how you play should be done after you play. That's when it's done. That's the time to look at your performance. You don't want to be evaluating it whilst you're doing it, because it will then trigger the thoughts. And yes, you can have minimal thoughts about, right, I just need to do this, but it's the evaluation of the shot that causes an evaluation of the self whilst playing that causes athletes to get into like the destructive patterns where they can be playing really well, and then they make one shot, and then they have a thought about that shot or about themselves, and then they have another thought about themselves or the next shot, and then next thing you know, the performance has just spiraled out of control, all because of this continual loop of over evaluating what they're doing. So everything that you're saying, man, it makes perfect sense. You're clearing out your mind to let let it do what it knows how to do.
Yeah.
So for you then, obviously it really seems like you've had, a bit of quite a revelation to what's going on with the mind and how it affects performance. So just looking at it from where you are now, in terms of performing at the highest level, which you are, as a percentage, if you could, what percentage of performing in the top 100 in the world, what percentage of being a badminton player at that level against the best in the world what percent is physical and what percent is mental to you? If you could put a percentage on it, where would you put which?
It's a hard question. But it's you were saying something about, no, I was saying something about that when you get to this or that level, you're almost like, you can almost do the same as everybody else, but it's only how you're playing actually. And that's for sure a very big percentage of mentally thinking. But of course you cannot be a stick or like only run. You can only run 1 kilometer. Or, like you also have to be you have to be physical fit as well. So I don't think that I will be disappointing anyone if I'm saying like 50-50 actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about myself because I'm quite physical. I'm quite I have a good stamina and I'm quite fast.
Yeah.
But I'm what I have not played so many times against the best of the world. At practice I have playing with the Olympic champion and number 3 in the world most of the days during the week. Of course, we're practicing at the same center, but I don't feel that tempo and physically that I'm worse than them. I'm maybe even better and faster at some points. In some areas. So for me, I have to work on the mentally thing because I have to think badminton in a little bit different way, so I can come up to the same level as them. Because, like I'm saying, it's not like I cannot do the same things that they can do.
Yeah.
There are some shots they can do better than me, but for sure there are also some shots I can do better than them. So it's going up like close to a draw. So I think that for me, I would say that 50-50 is quite the best answer for me, because if you're really good if you're really good to play badminton and like know where to shoot the shuttle, and you can run like decently long, and you have a good stamina and you're strong and you can hit hard and stuff like that, then you can like put a lot of pressure on the other one. So maybe you not have to move that much actually. Because you're thinking better than maybe the guy on the other side, because maybe he's 70-30, like 70% physical and more 30%. Then he run more often in badminton, and then it's hard. Then it's harder for him, and maybe that's also why he's having a good stamina, because he's used to run a lot when he's playing, because he needs to work on the mentally aspect of the game. So for me, it's actually 50-50, because I don't think that you can say in badminton you have to be strong and have a good stamina, as you also has to be very good at the game and playing have a good game. So I think it's 50-50.
You cannot take away the physical. You cannot. There's there's no two ways about it. You can be the most confident, focused, get in the most motivated state you can be in. But if you do not have the technical ability to play whatever sport you're playing, and you don't have the fitness and strengthening and conditioning to go with it, then it means nothing in the end. So I always ask that question, and I get varying degrees. Some athletes have said 80-20 in mental. I've had a fair few that have said that, yeah. And the lowest has been 50-50. A couple of people said 50-50, and some have said 60-40. But yeah, there's a few that said when it came to being at the top, like you're saying, because the difference between, the people that you're training with and some of them are ranked higher than you is so small. So where is that difference coming from? Yeah. If physically and technically you're pretty much the same. So it's how they're handling the moments, how they're handling the moments on the court, how they're handling the moments before the court, how they're staying motivated to keep wanting to train. That's a part of it, to keep doing this, day in, day out, week in, week out for all these years. That's a mentality, that to stay motivated, to stay driven, to want to do it. And especially, as we said before, once you've already had success, to keep going for more. So yeah, I completely agree. You have to have both. And I just think often at the top, or for somebody who isn't where they want to be, I do often think that it is the mental thing that is the missing link. So yeah, it's just how do you have any rituals? Is there anything that you do to help you prepare mentally before you go out and play? Is it that do you visualize how you're going to play, or now you've really got into almost like the mindfulness and the breathing? Are you kind of getting yourself into relax, focusing on your breathing in the changing room or in the morning when you wake up? Do you have any routine that you like to follow?
Yeah, I kind of have, but it's not like I have learned that it's not like something I have to do to perform well. So it's not a disaster if I forget it. I can handle like different kind of situations now. That's nice. Because in the end, if you just stay present, you're not thinking about what you forgot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I kind of doing this meditation thing. I read The Power of Now, a book, and it focuses a lot of being present and how meditation can help you, also just in general.
Is that the Eckhart Tolle book?
What?
The Power of Now book, is that by Eckhart Tolle? Is it that?
Yeah, Eckhart. Yeah, and so you can now you can hear that I have read a lot of this mindfulness books, and he's talking about this kind of meditation where you are focusing on your breathing, and as soon as a thought pops up, you have to detect it. And the faster you can detect that thought, because you're for sure gonna get a thought, because otherwise you're crazy good at meditation and taking your mind off. But when you get this thought, then you have to detect it as fast as possible. And if you sit down for 5 minutes and only focusing on your breathing, you will find out it's not actually easy to detect when these thoughts are coming. Sometimes you sit and I don't know how long I have sit there, but I'm setting a timer on 5 minutes. I like to do it 5 minutes. But sometimes I feel like, okay, how long did I have this for?
Yeah.
But then I know I have detected it. So it's a good thing I found out that I'm thinking now, but then I have to go back to the breathing. And I actually sometimes I don't know how long I have been thinking about that. So it's actually a way for me to practice this ongoing game I have on court where I'm thinking too much. Because when I'm on court, I also have to detect, okay, now I'm thinking. I don't want to think. I want to be present.
Yeah.
So it's for me, this meditation is actually a little life hack for me, because I can practice my concentration by doing this, sitting at home, sitting everywhere, and only focusing on my breathing and detecting the thoughts I'm gonna have. And it's it's working so far.
Yeah.
You get it's like I was saying earlier. I know it's a mental thing, but it's not coming like this. You have to practice it over and over and over and over again to become better and better at it.
Yeah.
Like everything else. So it's still in progress. I'm still learning, and sometimes it's harder. Sometimes it's the mental thing is like a shot. It's bad. So sometimes it's like I was saying before, I don't know for how long I had that for, and maybe it's 2 minutes out of 5 minutes, and that's not pretty good when I have to detect it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have a lot of thoughts during those 5 minutes, but I detect it so fast. But maybe I detect it, and then 5 seconds later, I detect another one. Those days are quite interesting, but it's like, I got the thought, and then I'm not getting angry because I'm getting thoughts.
No, you can't.
I'm actually getting heavy because I detected so fast.
Yeah. Because the anger only triggers more thoughts. You see, it's
exactly.
Anger. If you get frustrated with a shot, if you get frustrated with a skill technique, the frustration knocks you out of state, because frustration is all of the the very powerful emotions, frustration and anger, and if they are there, they have some use, but they're not to be used. You don't ever really need them when you're playing sport. You might use them to get back from a setback, a knockback, some failure, a loss. You can use the losses to drive you to start making some changes and training harder. But if you're starting to get frustrated and angry on the court or on the pitch or whatever sport someone's playing, it's knocking you out of state. And as you say, when you're practicing your mindfulness breathing and catching your thoughts, just catching them and observing them. And there's a quote that I love. And it's something along the lines of, between stimulus and response is growth. That's where it is. And we all should be striving to do is increase that gap between stimulus and response. You have a thought, then what do? Are you able to keep increasing that gap where there's nothing going on in that space of thought? Because in there that's the presence. Whereas if it stimulus response, that's where most people spend their life in that patterns. And every thought that somebody has is triggering an emotional state. So the more you think a thought, the more it energizes the emotional feeling. And then the more you feel a feeling, the more it energizes the thoughts. So people get trapped in this cycle of thought, feeling, and it's ramping up the emotional state. And just by catching the thoughts, it cuts the emotion, and then you can then be back in the flow state, as we spoke of.
Yeah. So that's why I like to do that before.
Yeah.
Like maybe in the morning, or if I forget it, then I can do it. Like then I put some music on, and then I I listen to Beethoven.
Nice.
Sonate 14, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. And I'm actually doing that because sometimes there is a lot of noise in the hall, and I have to not get so much distracted.
Yeah.
So when I listen to that, you can not like hear anything else maybe. And then besides focusing on your breathing, you can also focusing on every time he's hitting the piano, like every tone, every note, something like that. So it also helps me to listen to that actually, and then I know it's 5 minutes long, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
The time. So and I also likes to hear music, so it's sometimes I do it without music, but sometimes I also do it with music. It's for me it's still working either the one way or another. As long as I can detect the thoughts I have and not get distracted too much about the some things I can't control anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, but besides that, um, I just the other day when I was playing super good, I was actually trying to make the game plan as simple as possible. So and it was working really good. So for me, the next time I will be playing, I will try to have that same kind of approach. So I want to have a simple game plan because when you start to feel good, then you can also start to maybe do some crazier shots.
Yeah.
So for me, in the start, it doesn't has to be so pretty and beautiful, but it has to go fast, and then it has to be simple. Because
Yeah.
then the other day I was playing really well, so I'll try to have the same approach next time. So and then I will see if it's working. And maybe it's not, but at at least I have to give it another chance because yeah, the level was too high to not learn something from it.
Yeah. Can you remember one of your best ever performances? And the reason why I ask this is because what athletes often don't realize is the thing that is driving the performance is the internal state that somebody's in.
Mm.
So when somebody plays at their best versus when they don't play at the level that they want to, internally, their mind is processing that experience in one way. And when they don't play as well, internally, the mind is representing that experience in a completely different way. And the only way we as humans can make sense of the world is through our sensory system. So we make sense of what is happening right now. We make sense of what is happening yesterday, and we think about tomorrow. And we do that through what we see, what we hear, what we feel, and also to a lesser extent from what we smell and what we taste. So one of the things that I spend a lot of time with athletes is helping them create the pattern of how they performed at their best and take their average performances so that they become one and the same, if that makes sense. Because as soon as you've done something once, your mind has a record of that. It is stored in the brain subconsciously forever. The only question is, can you access it again? So often what I'm doing is helping them access that great performance that they did once. It is entirely possible to perform in that state every single time. Doesn't mean you win every time, because your opponent might be in that state as well. You know, if you've got two athletes both in a state of flow, then it's going to be one hell of a game. And that doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. But what it means is that you are going to be able to perform at your best in terms of what your best is at that moment in time. So when you remember one of your best performances, can you describe what it kind of what it looks like when you look back at it, what it sounds like, and how it feels when you played a game like this?
Yeah, but as I was saying earlier, it is in Orléans, and I was not remembering so much of the game because I was quite present. But I will say some of some of the performances where I'm most proud of, and I also felt that I was playing some of my best it was in the semifinal last year at the tournament in France in Orléans. I met another Dane, Hans Christian Wittinghus, who is around top 20 in the world right now, and has been in the game for so long. So he has a lot more routine that I have. So, but I also, it's a guy I want to beat because I want his spot on the national team.
Yeah.
So it was a quite interesting match for both of us because he wanted to show that I was not better than him, and I wanted to show that I was. So it was a different kind of pressure on both of us. But the first match, or the first set, I was leading like maybe the whole time, or quite a lot. But in the end, when I had to close the set, I lost like 3 or 4 points in a row. Then it was away. But I was maybe 1 point, 2 points away when that happened. Yeah. So it was really close. And then in the next set, I remember that I was maybe coming a little bit behind, maybe 3-1. And earlier on, I would have been like, oh no. It's shit. It's going bad. And these thoughts would come in my mind. But I was quite calm still, and I believed in my mindset and in my approach to the game that day. So I was really calm, and suddenly it started to get better and better. And he was getting more and more frustrated as I was getting better and better. And I was not, and it was funny because he was also getting close at some other times during the set. And then I was still just calm. Maybe I had lost 3 in a row, but I was not stressing at all. I was just like sticking to the game plan and sticking to the mindset I had. So I actually stopped his his streaks quite fast.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt that during that match, I actually also, when it was hard in the match, I was actually feeling quite calm. So for me, that was a big thing because I was handling the bad situations quite good. But I must say that this week I was playing like maybe near a perfect game. Like I felt something like that. So
really? This week?
Yeah, this weekend, Saturday. Whoa. But it was really weird because I had played some of the worst badminton in a long time the day before.
Right.
And I talked with my teammates, and I felt that, and I said that I was where I am right now. I'm feeling really comfortable. I think I'm in a good state of mind, and I feel that my physical conditions right now is maybe some of the best it has ever had. So because of that, I also felt that I had some expectations in my first game that I should win this match. And that's a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
Because when you have expectations, you can get frustrated when it's not going your way. And it happened. But I'm actually I was not that disappointed after, because I felt that I used all the tools, like getting in the moment, stay present, focusing on the breathing, but it was not working that day. Yeah. And that's fair enough. You have one of those days.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because I had big expectations, because where I'm in right now it's quite good. Okay. So I was not, the next day I had the same feeling that I'm good. I'm still right in the right spot, in the right place right now. I'm still physical fit. I'm still, in my mindset is still like really good. I know what to do, but my game plan, I have to change that. I have to admit and just admit that I can't use the whole court as I want to when I'm playing good. So now my focus is just holding the shuttle down and be very high at the net. And that was the game plan for me. And maybe I had to take it at the back line like this, and not like I'm used to hitting it a lot of times up here.
Yeah.
Because I'm moving fast backwards. But I was like, it's better for me to be behind the net, because then I can get the lifts. And when he's playing the back line, I will just play it short with different variations, maybe cross, maybe in the middle, maybe I hit hard into the court, but I will not play long. And then it changed the whole like game for me. So I was playing so much better than the day before, just because I had a clear game plan what to do. And because of that, and my mindset was good, and my physical condition is good, then I played seriously good. And yeah, it was just a crazy feeling, because sometimes when I have played a bad match and a tough match where I can't control the shuttle and I do a lot of mistakes, I sit with a feeling like, man, I would really want to play one more match in this hole so I could figure out what to do. And because it was a team match event, so we had a semifinal Friday and the final Saturday. We won the semifinal, and despite of my loss, my teammates were good, so we won. So we were in the final. So I got another chance. So I also saw that like an opportunity that, okay, I don't want to play like I did yesterday. I want to try this. That's what I have been thinking about since the match ended, that I should maybe have done this. Then I go in and try that, and when it works, so like it did, yeah, it was a crazy feeling. And then the atmosphere was crazy. A lot of people were there, and it was in a tennis hall, so it was also like, it was different kind of atmosphere for me. And and then the teammates is also shouting, and it was just, everything was just like, really nice. So
you're getting me excited back here, man. I wish I was there to see it.
I wish you could see the last match, but not the first one. or maybe see the first one and see the difference. Like,
did you happen to record them? Do you have a video?
I tried to find it yesterday, but I didn't think they had uploaded it yet. So, but maybe it is now uploaded. So I'll try to find it actually, because I want to see it again, and I also want to see the first match again, just to see how my decisions were different, because my body and mind was not different. It was just the game plan I had changed. So
what I found interesting with one of the things that you said was how, with the first game, when you didn't play to the level that you wanted to, you went in there very confident, and you went in there with these expectations. And sometimes, that can detract you from actually just playing each point on its merit. Because the only thing that you ever need to do, especially in the games like tennis and badminton and squash and table tennis, is play the best possible point every single point. You only ever need to focus on one point. And it kind of sounded like, from when you said that, before you played that first game, you had this like grander idea of how it was all going to play out in some kind of way. And then when you realized earlier on in the game that it wasn't going the way that you thought it was going to go, the wheels kind of came off, and it almost seemed like you was getting ahead of yourself. And one of the things that I try to do with athletes who are playing, especially these types of sports, is, as I said, it's just 1 point at a time. You're only ever focusing on that 1 point. And even within the point, you're only focusing on that shuttle. That your only focus needs to be really on that shuttle, and keeping everything else narrowed down to that. And as soon as the mind goes outside of that shuttle and that point, then it opens up to all of these other things, and comparing. As soon as athletes get into this comparison game, that shot wasn't as good as what it should have been. That shot wasn't as good as that one. I'm not playing as well right now as what I was last week. It's a dangerous dangerous place to be. And as you keep saying, it's knocking you out of the present moment of now, the sweet spot of now, the flow state. And
Yeah.
I think I'd imagine that's where your mind was in that next game. Just every point on its merit, whether I win the point or lose the point, it's irrelevant. I'm just focusing on this point in this moment in time.
Yeah. Because I said I was trying to hold everything down and take the net, but as soon as I saw him move, he knew that at some point that I didn't want to lift. So what will he do then? Then he will step forward, and when I saw that, I actually lifted. So it was actually like I was feeling I was one step ahead all the time.
Yeah.
And that was, it was just a very nice feeling. Yeah, but it was just so crazy to feel. That's also why I'm pretty excited right now to feel that kind of roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like being so bad the first day, and then play some of the best badminton I have ever had been playing the day after. And it was quite funny because I like to tease people. So my teammates were teasing me a little bit, like, you're saving the energy for tomorrow, or that was it was really not good today. And I was saying the same. It was one of the worst matches I have played. So they were teasing me a little bit. So I had that feeling that I really wanted to perform well, but I also wanted to, that was a little bit pressure on. I felt that because I had played so bad the day before, but I was handling it so well anyway. So that's also what I was quite proud of, because I was handling the pressure for it was a final, and it's the first season for this German club I was playing in, and I have maybe not been showing the highest level, the best level I could, and I really wanted to show what my level could be.
Yeah.
So and that was before the match, and when you then when you go in and do all of that, it's just crazy. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was really nice. So I'm quite happy at the moment, and like to play badminton.
What do you think, Mads, is your number one superpower? I'm sure you've got lots of, great traits, but what's the one thing that you've got that really is something that you have that kind of helps separate you from other players? And this could be a particular shot that you play, it could be a tactical thing, but it could also be a mentality thing or a habit or an attitude. What would be your number one superpower, Mads?
I think there is an upcoming superpower for me, but I will go back to that. But my biggest superpower is also actually my biggest kryptonite, if you can say that. I really like to practice, and I cannot, I have trouble to get some rest days once in a while. And as you know, you build muscles when you're resting.
Yeah.
But I'm really bad at taking the days off, because I always feel motivated, and I know sometimes I don't feel as motivated, but as I also know when I just have to go down to the gym, and when I'm in the gym, I'm motivated, but maybe not at home when I'm on the couch. But I know that's just a feeling I have. As I know that as soon as I come down there, I'm motivated. So my biggest superpower is that I'm really motivated and hungry, and I love to practice. But it's, as I'm saying, it can also be too much. So I have to find out not just that my superpower is destroying me, actually. Then there is this upcoming one and it's curiosity, and that I'm seeking this knowledge to get better every day and find the little things I can change. Because I feel that if you can change some little things, Maybe it's look at your shoes, stay present. That's a little thing for me actually, but it has so huge impact.
Yeah.
So I got curious about this whole mentally thing. That's also why I started to read. Maybe I can pick some things up who can make me a better player, a better person, a better friend, all these kind of things.
Awesome.
I'm always trying to develop my level of human being,
Yeah.
and that's also I got the meditation thing from a book as well, and now I'm using it and it's working. So I have felt that I have been reading a lot of good things, so it's also like, yeah, but it's because I'm curious and I'm alert, and when I see or hear things, I try to not only think about it but also take action and actually do it and try it. Maybe it's not working, then I just stop doing it. That's not the problem. The problem if I'm thinking about it and not doing it, then it doesn't matter if you're thinking about it. Then why think about it?
That's a great answer. That, the two things that you said there, as I said, as we said at the start, a lot of what we're talking about is the psychology, the mental side of things. But nobody's going to become a great athlete without giving time. I look at it. People say working hard and that sort of thing. I don't like that word. Those two words. I call it time and energy. If you put time and energy into anything, whatever it is, whether it's becoming the best plumber, the best carpenter, the best doctor, or not the best, striving to become the best version of that you can be.
Yeah.
It's not about being number one or winning this, that, and the other. That's not what anybody should be focusing on.
But over time and the energy you're using, you will get better. And that's what maybe you're not getting the best, but you're getting better and better because you're using the time and energy to get better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And being curious, the older that I get, the more curious I am, because the older I get, I then read more, I learn more. And then the more I learn, the more I realize that I don't know anything. and I love that. I love the fact that, I read a lot. I do. And I love the fact that I keep reading about things that I don't know anything about. And I'll never get to the end of that list.
Yeah.
And I'm happy in that space, happy knowing that when I leave this world, I'll never know it all. But I like to expand my mind and body to learn as much about this mind and body and life as I can, so that whilst I am here on this planet, I can squeeze as much out of it as possible. And that certainly seems like that's a journey that you're embarking on, Mads.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also what I'm what I try to learn my followers on Instagram and stuff is that I was a late bloomer. I was not the best at my age, but because of the time and energy I used on practice just in general on badminton, I got better and better, and now I'm top 100 in the world. So it has for sure been going quite good since my juniors. So you can also some I remember when I was younger, I heard a lot of things about when you come to a certain age, you will not be able to develop anymore. But I'm an example that you can develop no matter which age you are. It's just you have some habits which makes it harder and harder. So you have to really dig deep to change these habits if you have done it for, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
Or 5 years or 1 year or stuff.
Yeah.
So I always say that effort beats talents every day. So that's like my kind of go-to quote when people are asking me if they are good enough, because they know there are some people that are better than them. Then I just say that, well, if you put in the effort, then and they don't, then you will pass them at some point.
Definitely.
So yeah.
My last question for you then, Mads. What's your definition or meaning of of achieving excellence or sporting excellence? What's your definition of this?
Oh, that's a hard question. For
Some
me,
people think that excellence is all about winning, being number one, winning the trophies. But that doesn't quite seem like that's where you're at with it.
no, my is more like the development. Like, I feel like you're an excellent athlete if you can keep getting better and better. Because then, as you said, that with the Djokovic and Cristiano Ronaldo and all the other guys, they didn't come to a certain point of level and stayed there, because what's happening when the best player, when there is a best player in the world, everybody else is noticing this guy and is hungry to beat this guy, so they come closer and closer. And then if you are one of the best in the world for a lot of years, you are an excellent athlete because you know how to get better and better. So that's what I think is excellence for me, because it's beautiful because not everybody can do it. Everybody can be an excellent athlete if they just tries to get better and better every day, or maybe not every day, but just trying to develop over time, and not be satisfied with where they are. So, and that's also what what I'm trying to stand for, that you can always get better. So, and I think that's pretty excellent.
I agree. I think that's a great answer there, Mads, and I think that's a fantastic way of wrapping up this interview. I've really enjoyed speaking with you, Mads, and learning more about you, your story, this almost like a new chapter in your life in terms of developing this curiosity to learn about more about the mind, the body, life in general, and apply it to what you're doing in badminton. And I'm sure when badminton stops one day, I'm sure that journey in that respect will still continue, but in another direction. And as I said, I love your Instagram channel. It's got so many great videos on there, and I can tell that you're so passionate about, as we said at the start, helping people and passing on some of these nuggets and wisdoms to help people keep focused on what they're doing. So, really, I've really enjoyed this, Mads. So, thank you very much for coming on and giving up your time.
Yeah, you're welcome, and it was a pleasure. I think it was. I always think these kind of discussions are quite interesting, because maybe I learned something new, and maybe I can help some other people who are not thinking about this at all, or maybe they are kind of new to it, or I just try to help.
Well, you're certainly doing that, Mads. So thanks again, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you.
The Inner Game Podcast, brought to you by the Science of Excellence. Unleash your power. Book your free consultation now.